Good morning, everybody out there on the YouTube and the Facebook. Just coming to you, and I'm gonna be bringing to you guys today the first episode of my life story. I've been kind of putting it off, but I need to do it, so here it is. I guess I'm gonna start with when I was, growing up. I guess I'll start here. So, my name's Chance Dwayne Gray. Originally, my birth name was Nelson. My biological father's name was Chad Nelson. And I didn't know about him until I was, at least, how old was I? I think I was 15 when I finally found out about my biological father. And, but in the meantime, from 1 to 15, I knew Alan Gray as my dad. Anyways, he was a freaking awesome dad. Yeah, he was in and out of jail and prison, whatever. But when he was there, he was great. You know, I loved the shit out of him. Anyways, so growing up, I'll get back to the father thing in a little bit. But growing up, at age 14 is when I really started experimenting. I tried chewing tobacco. And I was like, oh, wow, make you feel kind of funny. Anyways, from there I started drinking beer, stealing beer out of my stepdad's cooler, Budweisers. We'd take them Budweisers and I'd put them in a big drink and bring them on the bus, go to school and get drunk. Not recommended at all. Don't do that. Could have gotten in big trouble, and I didn't. The trouble came later in life. But so started out experimenting with the alcohol. From the alcohol, I went to marijuana, which this marijuana that I thought was marijuana was not actually marijuana. It was K2. So here I am at like 14 smoking spice, and I had no idea, but because I had never smoked weed before, so I never knew the difference. But when I actually smoked real weed, I was like, okay, yeah, that stuff I smoked the first time was not marijuana. Anyways, it was a bad trip. Like, I stood in one spot for, I don't know, it felt like hours. But that kind of started this spiral. I never really knew any difference between alcohol and liquor. So one day I was in the basement. One day I was in the basement at our house, and I went in the deep freeze and found some peppermint schnapps. So I'm like, okay, this says it's alcohol. I know I like to drink beer, so let's give this a try. So I drank the whole bottle, not knowing that there was any difference between beer and liquor. And it was the whole fifth, you know. And when I was like 15, 14, I weighed like 130 pounds. Needless to say, I overdosed first time on liquor. And I remember going out, and I was walking outside. I remember jumping on the trampoline, went over to the neighbor's house, which is Trevor Pettibon's house at the time. It's actually, his parents still live there. And I was like looking at her brand new wheels. I almost like walked up in their house, and then I was like, whoa, what am I doing? So I turned around and walked back to the house, and next thing I know, I'm waking up with my mom's fingers down my throat, because I guess I had passed out in the yard. She found me throwing up, choking on my own vomit. And from there, I went back out, unconscious again. And then I guess I don't recall it, but my mom, for some reason, tried bringing me up the basement stairs, which is not her fault. I fell down the whole stairs. And that's why I'm so smart today, because I fell down the stairs. Anyways, yeah, that was a crazy experience. I had to go to the hospital. My blood alcohol level was like a 4.3. And they said most grown men die at like a 4.0 something. Anyways, so I was blessed to be alive after that. Had pretty big punishments. And maybe it kept me away from the alcohol and stuff for a while, but I eventually started going back to drinking real heavily and doing drugs. I remember going in my mom's medicine cabinet and finding opioids. like painkillers, Percocets actually. I think they were 10s or something. Perc 10s. And boy, I'm like a walking, I'm pretty much a doctor. And I'm not proud of it, but I just am. I did a lot of research growing up on things that could make me high. And anyways, so I'm doing this stuff, and it was like the best thing in the fucking world, pardon my French. Best thing in the world. And I think, I'm trying to think of how the series of events went. I know I started huffing paint. That's another reason I'm so smart today. And yeah, my mom found me in my room. She opened up my door, and it smelled like freaking spray paint in my whole room. Because I was oblivious to it. I was just getting high. I would spray it down in a Gatorade bottle with a sock on it. And that's how I was huffing this stuff. And I was getting high. I had paint all over my nose. And when my mom came in there, I said I want to kill myself. I didn't want to live anymore. And needless to say, let me back up too. I was also prescribed Adderall growing up, which a good thing, I think is a good thing, but it predisposed me to drugs, I think. And anyways, after that, I slept on my mom's floor that night, and the next day she brought me to Heartland. It was summer break, seriously, like summer break, and I'm spending it in Heartland, which is like a psych ward. And I guess last time when I was telling this story, people wanted to know more about how I felt. Feelings at that time were definitely despair, very confused. I was a kid who had no knowledge besides getting high. And that's just, it started out as a game, something fun to do. And then it turned into a curse very quickly. And once I got out of Heartland, I'll tell you this too. When I was in Heartland, I wrote this poem. And I don't know why I remember this poem, but I wrote this poem sitting in the hallway, like in my freaking sweatpants that they make me wear. And the poem goes like this. I was staring into the walls when I wrote it. Staring into the walls stare back into my eyes. To my surprise, I find the truth to free the mind from the mind itself. What the hell it means, I don't know. But it's stuck with me ever since I was 14, and I don't remember very much from that age due to excessive drug use. So I get out of Heartland, and I think I move in with my grandparents. I leave Nevada High School, move in with my grandparents. And at this time, everything was good. I was on the baseball team. I was doing good, hanging out with the guys from Lamar, got on the football team. Everything was cool. Started drinking and smoking weed, and then I was also abusing Adderall. And I remember I would take Adderall to the point to where I would literally have heart palpitations and almost go unconscious because I had pushing my body to the limits. Anyways, they find out that I'm on this shit again, and then needless to say, I also steal some more Percocets and stuff from my grandparents, and that was like a last straw for them. They sent me to a rehab. And again, feelings at this time of lost, confused little kid who got on drugs way too early and was very confused and depressed. I'm pretty sure I was already predisposed with a chemical imbalance, chemically induced depression. Anyways. And that's not uncommon for people in general. But anyways, so they send me to rehab. I do this little 30-day stint in rehab. It was all right. I learned a lot, but Um, I say that. I was drinking Germex. Who drinks Germex? I did. Because I wanted to get drunk. And, yeah, the isopropyl, it's not isopropyl. I think it's some type of alcohol in there that they actually used to give to women during childbirth. And how do I know that? I did too much research. But anyways, I drank this stuff. It's not good for you, and it will kill you. It will kill you. And did all that. Got it back out of rehab. And at this time, I think I'm like doing okay, like living a normal life after I get out of rehab. I'm still using behind the scenes. Parents don't really know. And I'm at my dad's house, Alan Gray. I'm 15 at this time. And I find out me and him were drinking, and he tells me, he said, Chance, I'm not your real dad. He said, I'm not your real dad. So I'm like, bullshit. What are you talking about? You're not my real dad. And he's like, no, I'm not your real dad. I said, then where's my real dad? And he couldn't tell me. So whenever I got back and my mom picked me up from my dad's that weekend, I was like, who's my real dad? And she was like, what the hell are you talking about? I said, who's my real dad? And finally she told me Chad Nelson, and then come to find out he's dead. He done hung himself. And so that was kind of hard for a little bit. I kind of got over it. I still wish I could have met the guy because he seems like a really cool guy. Struggle with drugs and stuff too, just like me. So it kind of helped me see why I am the way I am. And anyways, so from there, I actually go to this boys' home for like a year and a half because my mom couldn't take care of me anymore because I was just a doomed lost cause, I guess. And I don't blame her because there was no controlling me. I was going to do what the fuck I wanted to do, no matter what. And it was all not because I was wanting to be an asshole kid or because I didn't love my mom, or it's not because any of that. It's because I wanted to get fucked up, because I know that whenever Chance felt fucked up, his life felt better. And at this time, apparently enough wasn't enough, so I just kept going. And so drugs continued. I went to this boy's home, and I was there for almost 6 to 7 months. And I was like, it was a Christian boys home, so we did Bible memory. And dude, I memorized every Friday we would quote. So I would quote 7 verses of the Bible with our hands behind our back at attention. And if you mess up one word, they put you on CT, which is character enhancement training. And they'd work you out until you were crying and throwing up and shit. And it was fun. Not. Anyways, I was like, okay, enough is enough. I don't care how old I am. I was 15. I'm like, I don't care how old I am. I'm leaving this freaking place. So I crawled up inside the attic. It was a lockdown facility, but I crawled up inside the attic with a box knife and a flashlight, walked all the way through the rafters above the whole dormitory, went to where I knew I was in the school area and cut a hole in the drywall, and I was escaping. I had a pillowcase. I filled it up with toilet paper, bread, peanut butter, and I was going to leave. And I was just about to walk out the front door when Mr. Mack walked in and said, hey, Chance, where you going, buddy? It's like, fuck. They got me. My prison escape didn't work. I guess they heard me walking in the rafters. Anyways, that's a good thing because I probably could have died, at that age where I'm in the street by myself. So, needless to say, that got me another year there. So I stayed a year and 6 months. My punishments there were quite extreme, close to the verge of child abuse. But I had to do it. My mom didn't know. I tried telling my mom, but she wouldn't listen, or she just didn't believe me. I don't know. But it's not her fault. Not her fault. My punishment was I was on standing from the time I woke up at 5:30 in the morning until whenever they decided I could lay down at night, but I was on standing, so I was not allowed to sit down for anything. Meaning in school, I had to stand up. When I was eating, I had to stand up. Everywhere I went, I had to stand up. I couldn't sit down for nothing at all, unless I was taking a number 2 in the restroom. So that was just one of the punishments. Number 2 punishment was I was on silence. So I was not allowed to speak to anybody. And I'm in a dormitory with like 20 guys. And I'm not allowed to speak to anyone without raising my hand. And the only person I'm allowed to talk to is my crew leader. And it better be important or I get points and I get put on CET. Which actually I was already on mandatory CET for a month, every Friday. And while they got to watch movies, I was standing in the hallway with my nose against a wall for the whole movie duration. Anyways, so, and whenever everyone else got to lay down on their beds at like 8:30, I had to stand at attention at the foot of my bunk bed with my nose touching the bunk bed at attention. And if I broke attention, I got like an extra 10 minutes every time I broke attention. So, and needless to say, I didn't get laid down until like 10:30, 11 every night. So that's a lot of standing hours. And they tucked my bed, they tucked my mattress, so I didn't get to sleep on a mattress. I slept on a piece of plywood. And they took my pillow. I had no pillow. All I had was a blanket. And I think they tucked my shoes too. I wasn't allowed to wear shoes at all. At all. No shoes anywhere I went. That way I couldn't run away. And not only that, they called it I was on peanut butter. So what that means is for breakfast, I had raw oatmeal, no flavor, with water, not cooked, just water and raw oatmeal. And that was my breakfast. And then for lunch and dinner, I had 2 peanut butter sandwiches, no jelly, just peanut butter on bread with an apple. And that was my lunch and dinner and breakfast for a whole month. I had no other food in my body besides peanut butter and oatmeal for over a month straight. I got pretty cut up. And that was the gist of my punishment. Not only that, they had me laying on like an alarm. Like if you go to a nursing home, they have these alarms when you lay down, and if you get up from your bed, the alarm will go off. They had me on that, on the piece of plywood I was laying on, so I couldn't get off my bed. And anyways, that's that little stunt there. I felt at that time, I'm working on this I felt. That's what people want to hear, is how I felt. So at that time, I felt very, I don't know. To be honest, at that time, I felt like no one cared about me anymore. And I know that wasn't the case, but that's just how I felt. And I felt abandoned, and I felt scared, real scared, because I didn't like it there. And if you mess up, they would slam you on the ground, literally take you and throw you on the ground, and they put their knees on your throat and hold you down there until you say yes, sir. And so that, it was just traumatic. It really was. I'm over it though, for real. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it did shape who I am today. And meaning I don't take no shit, and I'm pretty tough because of it. So anyways, and it made me have manners. I really do. I have decent manners besides this cussing thing. I'm working on the cussing. But I felt scared, lonely, depressed, and like I said, I had a chemical imbalance in my brain for depression and anxiety and stuff like that. That was left untreated for many, many years. Many years. So I was self-diagnosing myself and self-medicating myself with drug abuse. And anyways, so I think that's where I'm going to leave off today. So at this time, just like a little recap, drugs. That was how I coped. That's how I made myself feel better. You know, when the normal thing would be just talk to people or get on medication or go hang out with your friends, I was getting high. And also, a recap of feeling depressed, feeling down, feeling sad, and that's kind of where I'm going to leave off right now. But there is hope in this story, and it comes way, way later, so y'all are just going to have to enjoy the ride. And the reason I'm telling you guys this stuff is because I want you guys to see just how bad I was, just how bad it gets. And that's not even, I went way down on this, digging your whole thing. And people say people like talk about this rock bottom crap. I don't believe in no rock bottom. Rock bottom is whenever you decide to quit digging. Because if you just want to keep digging your hole, you're going to keep digging your fucking hole until you want to stop or you die. So that's where I'm going to leave off. I love you guys. Y'all be ready. In the next week or so, I will be dropping another life story, continuing from where I left off today. And I hope everyone has a blessed day out there. Love everybody out there. This is my new cool job that I get to sit in this thing and wait for trucks to come. So it's pretty laid back. God's blessed me with a good job. So anyways, love y'all. Peace out.